Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Yoga with Leah. As always, I'm very pleased to be joining you in this way. For those who are interested, we do also offer an outdoor class at 10 a.m. on Sundays in the bocce ball court. Space is a little bit limited, so we do ask that you sign up on LifeLoop in advance if you do plan on coming. That way we know how many to expect and we can cut off at the appropriate number of people. If coming down to the bocce ball court is not for you, we'll continue to offer this virtual option. And I am just so glad to be able to share this practice with you all in any way that works for us, especially this year and with so many fun and interesting challenges coming our way. With that, for this morning, as always, you will need a sturdy chair. And a chair without arms is best. So if you have a folding chair in your home, that's going to be your very best option. However, you want your feet to be able to reach the ground. You may bring a footstool or something like that underneath your feet so the ground reaches you instead. Find your way to your seat. Make sure you've got a little bit of room around you to move. And once you sit down, come farther forward so your back is away from the chair back. Rest your feet just comfortably underneath your knees, hip distance apart. Lift your chest. And close your eyes. Just taking a moment here to start turning your focus inward. Starting to notice your body, how you feel today. And starting to notice your breath. Inhale and exhale. You might choose to simply observe your breath at the pace it's already at, or you may begin to send your breath a little deeper, encouraging your low belly to fill and expand as you breathe in, emptying out completely with each exhale. You are always welcome to return right back to this seat, just taking a moment to reconnect. Notice your body and your breath again and refocus your attention internally. We'll take many different movements during class today, and I will often give different levels of challenge for different movements. So I might give one that's going to be the least challenging, and then some that might require more strength or more flexibility and become a little bit more challenging. You're always invited to stop along the way at the option that works for you and continue to practice that option for the remainder of those movements. Listen to your body, respond to those cues. Discomfort might be okay in some of the deeper stretches, but pain certainly is not. So listen to what your body is telling you, respond, notice what's going on, and really meet yourself just where you're at, expanding on your boundaries, but not jumping beyond them. Go ahead and open your eyes. Sit up a little taller and bring your palms together. Tuck your elbows in really close. Bring your palms together just out at the height of your elbows. And just really quick to reset our posture, simply open your arms by squeezing your shoulders together on your spine. Keep your elbows tucking in really close. Hands go out. And one more time if you missed that. So if you already did it the first time, you can stay here. But if you didn't quite get it, hands together just at elbow height. Elbows tuck in really close to your sides. Keep your elbows tucking in. Use your shoulders to open your arms up. Yeah, lift your chest, keep that, and then relax your arms down by your sides. Sit up nice and tall. Inhale, arms sweep up overhead. Reach up through your hands. Make your arms as straight as you possibly can, then squeeze biceps in by ears. Move wrists back over shoulders, stack shoulders over hips. Press feet down and grow a little taller. Inhale. Exhale, arms down. Again, inhale, sweep up, reach tall. Extend up through your fingertips. Can you make your arms a little more straight? Press your feet down. One more breath in. Exhale, release out. A little more quickly. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. One more time. Inhale up. And exhale down. Whenever we take a movement with breath, you might find that your breath pace is a little slower or quicker than mine. And that's totally fine. Go with your pace, but take the movements at the same rate as I am. Hands to your legs, seated cat and cow. Make sure you have plenty of space between you and the seat back. And begin to lift your chest, lean forward, squeeze your shoulders and elbows together behind you. Imagine your sternum going right towards the TV. And then round your spine, tuck chin to chest, lean way back. You might even feel your spine touch the back of the chair. Inhale, come forward. And exhale, round back. Inhale, forward. Exhale, round back. As you move through here, you also might feel your seat, almost like you're rocking forward on your seat as you lean forward, and you're rocking back on your seat as you lean back. Really just exploring length in your spine, and maybe you start to add in some other movements. You could do a little side to side. Maybe one feels really good and you stay there just a little longer. It doesn't have to look exactly like what I'm doing. It can kind of just be a way to say good morning to your spine. Finish out your next movement. Come up tall, neutral spine, feet underneath your knees. Bring palms together at heart center. Interlace your fingers to the webbing. Flip your palms and press forward. Getting a little stretch through your wrists. Keep the interlace of your fingers nice and tight. If this feels okay, you might stay here, or you might start to lift your arms up. Maybe taking palms of hands all the way up towards the ceiling. Press your hands up or out, whatever the case may be, and squeeze your shoulders together on your spine. Take one more breath in. Then on your exhale from wherever you're at, make cactus arms. Bend your elbows, hands in line over elbows, and elbows up in line with shoulders. You can make this as active or as passive as you please. The more you squeeze your shoulders together and lift your chest, the more you'll feel this stretch. Take one more breath in. And exhale, arms down by sides. Roll those shoulders out. Shake it out a little bit. One more time, interlace your fingers. Flip your palms, press forward. Stay here or lift your arms up overhead. Take an inhale. From wherever you're at, exhale, cactus arm. Squeeze shoulders together. Move hands back over elbows. Big breath in. Exhale, release down one more time, palms together, interlace fingers, flip, press forward. Inhale up. And exhale, cactus arms. Inhale here. Exhale, release down, roll those shoulders out a few times. Take your right hand across for your left leg. Draw your left shoulder up, back, and down, opening up into a twist. You might place your hand beside or behind you on the seat. Draw your left shoulder back, lift your chest, and maybe even turn your gaze over your back shoulder. Keep pressing down firmly through your feet. Take one more breath in. On your exhale, untwist. Left hand goes across for your right knee. Right shoulder up, back, and down. Place your hand beside or behind you on the seat. Lift and twist your chest. Draw your right shoulder back, and you might even turn your gaze over your right shoulder. Press feet down and keep knees in line right over ankles. One more breath in. Exhale, untwist. Switch sides again, right hand across, left shoulder up, back, and down. Lift as you twist. Press your feet down, take your knees a little bit wider. You might notice that especially your right knee wants to do some funky things here, so keep it stacking right over your ankle. On an exhale, untwist. Take your left hand across, right shoulder up, back, and down. Last time to twist here. Really focusing on your feet and legs. Press down firmly to the ground. Make sure you have a base of support starting all the way from the ground up, and stack your knee right in line over your ankle, vertical shin. One more breath in. Exhale, untwist. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, hinge forward. Shoulders come in line over knees. You might stay right here, or you can continue to walk your hands down your legs, maybe even taking your hands towards your feet or the ground. Press your feet down, and if your hands are on the ground, well, press your hands down too. And tuck your forehead towards your shins. Begin to gently roll yourself upright. Walk your hands back up your legs, lift your chest. Exhale, empty out. One more time, elbows in, palms together, right at elbow height. Press your feet down, and then use your shoulders squeezing in. Open up. Nice job, great posture, arms down by your sides. Keep that really nice posture, extend your right leg forward. Flex your foot, and then point your foot. And then flex again. Spread your toes. Point your foot. Crunch your toes over. One more time. Flex. Spread your toes. And point. And then replace your right foot. Left leg. Sit up tall. Leg extends out. Flex your foot to begin with. Heel presses forward. And then point your foot. Crunch your toes. Flex back. Spread your toes wide. Point your foot, crunch over your toes. One more time. Flex, spread those toes, and then point and crunch. Replace your foot down. Press both feet down, sit up tall. Heel toe your feet out wide, and with heels in, toes out. Press your feet down and away from each other. Nice. Lift your chest. Now, you likely already feel a stretch, and if what you feel now is enough stretch for you, stay as you are. If you'd like a little bit more, hinge slightly forward. Move your shoulders forward, but not your knees. Press your feet down and keep your knees going wide and out, more in line with your pinky toes. Think long through your spine. So rather than simply rounding forward, hinge from the hip crease, and with a flat back, lean slightly forward. Press your feet down to come back upright. Heel toe your feet back in to hip distance apart. Big breath in. Long breath out. One more time, big breath in. Long breath out. Extend your right leg forward. Bend your knee, draw your knee up to your chest, and press your chest towards your knee as well. And then you might stay here, or you might start to add in a little movement. You can use both hands or one hand, it's up to you, and moving any way you'd like. Once again, here you don't need to look as I look, just move your leg, see what feels good. Maybe you find a spot of a little tension, or maybe a spot that kind of hits a stretch that feels nice. You might change the position of your foot as well, as that can impact what you experience in your leg. And then finish out your next movement and release your right leg back down to the mat. Send your left foot forward. Bend your knee, draw your knee up to your chest, squeeze in. Press your chest forward to your leg and your leg towards your chest. And then begin with movement. Maybe it starts with your foot and ankle. Maybe you use both hands for a little more support. You could use your hand under your leg. Don't be afraid to explore, kind of move as you wish. Maybe experiencing a spot of tension, maybe noticing something that feels good or doesn't. It's okay to acknowledge sensations as long as it's without judgment. So something can feel bad, but that doesn't mean that we're bad. Release your foot back down. Press both feet down, sit up nice and tall. Big breath in. Exhale out. One more time, inhale. And exhale. Turn in your seat to the right. So turn to the right. So you're all the way to the side. The back of your seat should be just by your right arm. Now what you want to do is scoot towards the television or almost off the edge of the seat about halfway so that your left leg is completely free beyond the edge of the seat. You do actually have to physically move a few inches or more to accomplish this, so don't be afraid to actually scooch over and adjust your position. Your leg needs plenty of space to move in order for you to do this next pose. We're going to come into a low lunge here. So your right foot stays as it is. Your left leg, this is why you need to be free for your leg to move on the front side of the chair, comes down underneath you. Now, depending on how tall you are and how tall your seat is, your foot might go farther back, you might be a little farther forward, and you might go slightly farther out to the side, not quite so that your knee lifts up, but just so that you have a little bit more space between your legs, almost like you're skiing. But this is the basic move. So left knee draws into the midline and underneath you. You turn your shoulders to face the direction that we turned, and you can hold onto the seat with your right hand. If you would like, you can send your left arm up by your ear. Tuck your tailbone forward. So really take your glutes, squeeze them, and press your pelvis forward. Draw your waistline back to your spine, and then lift your chest, get even taller. Take a big breath in. Exhale, release your left hand down. Gently bring your left leg forward. And then we're going to turn back to the front and all the way to the left. You want to turn completely 90 degrees to the left so you are facing the side. Then scoot forward in the seat so that your left thigh is completely supported by the chair, but it's right on the edge. If I line up my hand here with the edge of the seat, my hand just presses against my inner thigh and the edge of the seat. Your right leg then goes straight back. If you're too far over and both sides of your seat are on the chair, it can make it more difficult for your right leg to get into position. So you want to give your leg room to move. Your knee might be out kind of like this. It might be in a little closer. You essentially want your knee underneath your hip. Hold on to the chair with your left hand. Squeeze your knee into the midline. Tuck your tailbone forward, and if you would like, right arm can go up. Really squeeze your glutes, tuck your pelvis underneath you, lift your chest. Take one more breath in, release down. Right leg comes forward, and spin to the front. One more time to each side, turn to the side, to the right more specifically, and then scoot forward, left leg goes back. Knee underneath your hip, lift your chest, tuck your tail, left arm up. This time you could hold on with your right arm, or maybe right arm goes up as well. Press down through both feet, squeeze into the midline and get even taller through your torso. Take an inhale, exhale, release out. Left leg forward, turn to the front and to the left. Right leg comes off the edge of the seat and walks back behind you. Squeeze into the midline, lift your chest, right arm up. If you'd like, left arm can go up as well. Tuck your tailbone forward, draw your belly button back, lift your chest, extend your spine. Take a big breath in, exhale, release down, right leg forward, turn to the front. Full breath in, long breath out. One more time, inhale and exhale. One more time, inhale and exhale. Heel till your feet out wide. Press your feet down and away from each other. Lift your chest. Hinge slightly forward. If you're hinging forward, make sure your hands aren't actually on your knees themselves, but slightly above, more on like your mid-thigh. The more you press your feet down, you might feel your seat even getting a little bit light. Then put the weight back into your seat. Bring your torso upright. Heel till your feet in together. Big breath in. Long breath out. One more time, inhale and exhale. We are going to move into a few standing poses. You are welcome to stay in your seat and you can do a few things. I'll show options for some of what you can do seated that'll mimic exactly what we're doing standing. You might also choose to just sit a movement out if it seems like it's not for you. Maybe return to the seat. repeat a movement that we did earlier that you liked or you felt like you wanted a little more time to master, and catch back in whenever it makes sense for you. For most of the movements, I will be able to give options that'll meet you at the level you're at, and I encourage you to participate and try however you can. We will start standing with Warrior 2, which is a lunge pose. I'll show you a seated version first. If you would like to stand up and practice Warrior 2 behind your chair this first time, feel free. For those who are staying seated, heel toe your feet out wide. You want to come to your comfortable wide stance. Then take your right toes, turn them all the way out, take your left heel and turn it out. Then you're going to make your left leg more straight and your right leg more bent. Now it's hard to tell from the angle of the camera. My left knee is still bent quite a bit, but because of the way I've oriented my leg, it looks more straight. And so this is kind of the shape you want to mimic. Stack front knee over your ankle and take your knee out wide. Shoulders stack over hips, and then arms go out to a T. Now let me show you, this is really common in Warrior 2, leaning forward. So now that you know that's common, check yourself. Am I leaning forward? And what can I do to draw back more through my left hand and come more up through center, really turning my hips and shoulders right towards the television. And then bring your arms down. To switch sides, you'll simply turn your right toes in, left toes out, and then I have to adjust my right foot back a little bit so I can get the bend in my left leg and a little more straight in my right. Again, the camera angle makes it hard to see, but there is quite a bit of bend in my knee still. It's just pointing directly forwards, in the same line as my toes. Then stack shoulders over hips, maybe arms go out. Drop your shoulders down and back, but squeeze together on your spine and extend out through your fingertips. Think shoulders in, fingers out, like you could make your arms longer. Widen your front knee, tuck your tail forward, and lift your chest. Big breath in, release out. Okay, if you're seated, simply switch sides again the same way. I will show the standing version. You're welcome to take your hands to the chair, but I'm gonna stand in front of my seat, so it's just a little easier to see what I'm doing. Take your feet out as wide as they can comfortably go. You don't want your feet to slide away from each other. And if you are wearing socks, I might suggest bare feet for this section. Take your arms out to a T or hold on to the chair. Right toes pivot out. Bend your right knee. If you're seated, come right back into this position. Tuck your tailbone forward and make your back leg even more strong. Lift your chest, extend out through fingertips, and last bit is to turn your gaze over your right hand. Then straighten your right leg, right toes in, left toes out, bend your left knee. Again, keeping your torso stacked right over your hips. So standing up makes you even more likely to lean forward. So draw a little more back for your right hand, widen your front knee, scoop your tailbone forward, maybe turn your gaze over your left fingertips. Straighten your left leg, turn your left toes forward, hands back to the chair. If you're seated, wide leg fold. We've done this a few times, heels in, toes out, bend your knees. You can stay or hinge forward. If you're standing, come to behind your chair. Bring your feet about hip distance apart. Then what you're gonna do is keep your hands on the chair. Just begin to slowly walk your feet back, and as you do, hinge from the hip crease to lower your torso. In the end, you should make a great big letter L with your body. Extend your arms overhead. You might hold on to the seat, or you might rest your arms on the chair back, and that can allow you to drop your head a little bit in between your arms, getting length all the way through your spine. Bending your knees is great. Press your hips back. Extend out through the crown of your head, through your arms. Press your hands to the chair. Walk your feet forward again. Big breath in. Long breath out. One more time. Big breath in. Long breath out. Right foot steps a little closer to the chair. Left foot steps back. Feet should be about one walking pace distance apart. If you're seated, simply slide your right heel forward. reach for your foot with your right hand. If you're standing, press your feet down and away from each other. Lift your chest, hinge from the hip crease, send hips back, extend forward through the crown of your head. Press your feet down and away from each other, toning your thighs into the midline, and if you like, you might flex your front foot. Keep sliding your right hip back. It's going to want to go forward, so move right hip back and squeeze both thighs in together. Press your hands to the chair to lift back up and switch sides. Left foot forward, right foot back, about one walking pace distance. Press your feet down and away from each other. Lift, hinge from the hip crease to fold. Hips slide back, extend out through the crown of your head, toning your thighs into the midline. You might lift to the heel of your front foot if you prefer. You might find that it makes you feel unstable, in which case definitely bring the entire bottom of your foot down to the ground. Slide your left hip back, toning your thighs into the midline. Keep getting longer through the crown of your head. Press your hands to the chair, come back upright. Right foot steps up underneath. You can do these arms seated or standing, crescent pose. Take your feet together or almost together. Left arm goes up, reach tall, and tilt over by kicking your hips out to the left. Fingertips go up and over to the right. If you're seated, same thing, but no kick in the hips, just reaching over with your top arm. If you'd like, your bottom arm might come up. You can interlace your hands and press your bottom arm up to your ear. Inhale up through center and tilt over to the left. One arm or two arms, both acceptable. Move top shoulder back and extend through both sides of your waist. So often the right side is easy to feel. This underside can be a little more challenging to find length. Come up through center, hands back down to the seat. Big breath in, long breath out. One more time, inhale and exhale. I'm going to demonstrate the arms to practice if you're staying seated for this next pose. If you're staying standing, just stay standing for one moment. I'll be right back with you. If you're seated, you're going to take your arms somewhere behind you on the chair. You might slide forward to get kind of just the perfect spot. Draw your shoulders together and lift your chest. You want to think hood ornament of a car. So like really proud, really beautiful, and very aerodynamic. You can hold on to the chair or simply squeeze your arms in and maybe even do little pulses where I'm pressing to the chair and then I'm releasing out. I'm pressing and releasing. If you're standing, we're going to practice warrior three. So we're going to start in the same basic stance, right foot forward, left foot back. Hinge from the hip crease and fold about halfway. Now you might stay here, or you might take a little lean forward onto your right leg, bend that knee a little bit. Left foot floats up behind you. Lower your left hip and tone in your thighs into the midline, and then lift your heel a little higher. Do that one more time. Lower your hip, lift your heel a little higher. If you'd like, you can take your arms away and fly your arms back alongside you. Squeeze your shoulders together on your spine. Hands back to the chair. Left toes down. Hinge upright. Left foot forward. Right foot back. Press your feet down and apart. We'll start just as we did for our stretch. Hinge from the hip crease. Hips go back, extend forward and out through the crown of your head. And then little bend in your front knee. Right foot floats up behind you once your left foot starts to take the weight. Extend forward through the crown of your head, back through your lifted leg, and lower your right hip, then lift your heel. What it would look like if my hip was lifted is like this, stacking open. So you want to close down and really squeeze into the midline. Maybe hands come away for a breath. Back to the chair, foot down, upright, and step together. Big breath in, long breath out. One more time, big breath in, long breath out. triangle pose. If you're seated, warrior two, but one more time. So walk your feet out wide, arms out, and you're going to turn from side to side. If you're standing, come around to the right side of your chair. I'm sorry, to the left side of your chair. Your right hand will be on the chair. Then you want to start with your feet about a comfortable hip distance apart or a little bit wider. Take your right toes and turn towards the chair. Now hold on to the chair back to begin. Left hand to your hip. You're going to kick your hips away from the chair and start to lower your torso down. So notice how everything stays facing directly forward. And then you might bring your hand down to the seat of the chair. If that all feels okay, you might send your top arm up. And if all of that seemed pretty doable for you, you may start back from the beginning with a much wider stance. So you want to start in a pretty wide stance to begin with, but if you weren't quite sure where we were going, you can come back with a wider stance here. Then press your hips forward, lean your torso back into one line. Come back up just the same way we got in, and carefully step your feet back together, turn your right toes forward, and then walk around your chair to the right for real this time. Feet out nice and wide, about as wide as is comfortable for you. And again, if on that first side you realize you needed to challenge yourself a little more, now you know for the second side to go there right away. Turn your left toes towards the chair. If you're seated, that means right toes in, left toes out. And then you're going to keep both legs mostly straight. A little bend in your knees is okay, but not a lot. Kick your hips back. Maybe hand stays here on the chair. Maybe your left hand comes down to the seat. Maybe your right arm goes up. Expanding out, taking up lots of space here. Press hips forward, lean your torso back into one line. And then reversing out just the way we came in. Little bend in the knee maybe to get there. Turn your toes forward and carefully walk your feet back in together. Return to your seat. Everybody bring your feet down comfortably underneath your knees, about a hip distance apart, and make sure that you're a little farther forward in the chair so you have space to move. Take your right leg and extend it out. Bend your knee, draw it up into your chest. And then cross your right leg all the way over your left, squeeze in together. If your left foot was really far over to the side, you might need to bring it more into the midline. Squeeze your calves in together. Nice. Squeeze your legs in together. And yours might look something more like this. That's totally okay. You want to go to your version of knees as close together as they can get. Press down through your left foot. Lift your chest. You can stay here, or maybe add your eagle arms as well. Right arm crosses under your left. Give yourself a big hug. Keep your right elbow underneath your left. You can stay here, or you might continue wrapping your arms. Maybe press backs of hands or palms together. But don't lose the cross of your elbows just to press your hands together. The cross of your elbows is enough to create the stretch. For some, pressing hands or palms together might create a deeper stretch. Drop your shoulders down and back, lift your elbows. And then do that again. Drop shoulders down and back, lift your elbows. One more time, drop shoulders down and back, lift your elbows. And then unwrap your arms, unwrap your legs, and switch sides. Left foot forward. Bend your knee, draw your knee up to your chest, squeeze in, and cross your leg over your right. Your version of squeezing your knees in as close together as you can. Press your legs in together. Your knee might be a little higher than mine. No worries. Press right foot down. Lift your chest, sit up tall. And then left elbow crosses under your right. Give yourself a big hug. Now you might stay here, or if you can keep the cross of your elbows, you might take backs of hands or palms together. However, if your elbows come uncrossed, pressing your hands or palms together will not add anything to the stretch. It will instead have taken you out of it. Drop shoulders down and back. Lift your elbows. Do that again. Drop shoulders down and back. Lift your elbows. One more time. Shoulders down and back. Lift your elbows. Then unwrap your arms. Unwrap your legs. Hands to your knees. Lift your chest. Inhale. Exhale. Empty out. Inhale. And exhale. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. Extend your right leg. Bend your knee up to your chest. This time, ankle to knee, figure 4 shape. So for you, this might not look a whole lot different than the last pose we did, but it should feel different. So you want ankle to knee, flex your foot, keep your ankle strong, and then you may support your knee with your hand or start to take your hand away and let gravity kind of do its thing. Lift your chest. If this feels okay and you do not feel pain in your knee and you would like more stretch in your right hip, hinge slightly forward and just a little bit of lean forward from the hip crease is going to create a lot more stretch for you here. You want to think hinge from the hip crease from your low spine rather than round your upper spine. There's a good chance that rounding your upper spine will actually take you out of the pose, not into it. Come back up. Draw your knee up to your chest. Roll your ankle out on the way back down. Switch sides, left leg extends. Draw your knee up, squeeze in. And cross ankle over knee, figure 4, flex your foot. You could continue to support with one or both hands, or if you don't feel pain in your knee, you might let gravity do its thing, or maybe just support a little bit on the way down. If that all feels okay, no pain in the knee, a little stretch in your hip and you'd like more, sit up really tall and hinge from the hip crease to lean forward. What that looks like from a side view, hinging from the hip crease, watch my entire spine moves as one. What not to do, so this is the opposite to do this. So if I'm simply rounding, my shoulders didn't actually get any closer to over my knees. If I'm hinging, there's actual forward motion that's happening that's going to create the stretch in the hip. Come back upright, draw your knee to your chest, squeeze in, roll your ankle out on the way down. One more time on each side, right leg extends. Bend your knee, draw it up, squeeze in. Stay here with your hands supporting, just ankle over knee, or take your hands away and let your knee fall. Lift up. This time, if the first time you hinged forward and that felt okay, this time you might try this. It's not a requirement though. You can take your right hand towards your ankle, take your left arm and reach kind of back behind you, and just take a little bit of twist in your torso. Untwist if you're twisting. Come upright if you're folding forward. And then knee draws up. Roll that ankle out on your way back down. Left leg extends. Draw your knee up to your chest, squeeze in. Ankle over knee, figure 4, support with your hands or let your knee fall away. And again, if you hinged forward with no pain and you want something different this time, you're welcome to take your left hand to your ankle or your heel, reach your right arm kind of back to the chair beside or behind you, and open into a little bit of a twist. Untwist. Come upright if you're hinging forward. Draw your knee up to your chest and roll your ankle out on the way back down. Big breath in. Long exhale. One more time, big breath in. Long breath out. Go ahead and take both feet, slide them forward so your legs are not quite straight, but pretty close. Then reach the balls of your feet down towards the ground. This should make your legs all the way straight. Reach your toes down, and if it's too easy to reach, take your heels a little farther away. Then draw up and back, flex your feet towards you, press your heels down. Again, point your feet, reaching, big stretch through the front of the ankle, maybe even your shin you can feel a little. And then come up and back, bend your knees, flex your feet. Last time, reach your toes forward, extend out, reach the balls of your feet down, and then bring your feet underneath you. Maybe even a little closer than they have been for most of class today. Lift your heels up high, press your toes down, squeeze your heels up towards your calves. Nice job. Press down through your toes and release out. Take your feet just comfortably underneath your knees. Sit up tall, lift your chest. Extend your right arm forward, make a stop hand. And then take left fingers to fingers and draw your fingertips back towards you. You want your arm to be straight or almost straight so you can press the heel of your hand forward as you draw your fingers back, like so. This is going to create a stretch right here in the bottom of your arm and for your wrist. And then take that away. Let your hand just relax, point down, palm to the back of your hand. And again, press your right arm forward, draw back with your left arm, just creating a little bit of stretch in the top of your wrist. And left hand, stop hand first. Fingers to fingers, draw back. You can include your thumb or not. I personally don't include mine, but I know lots of people who like to. Release out, relax your hand down, and then palm to the back of your hand, press towards you, and press your arm forward. So left arm extends continually. Release out, take both hands out, shoulder height. Spread your fingers as wide as you can. Imagine gripping an invisible wall right in front of you. And then make a fist. Point your knuckles down towards the ground. And spread those fingers wide again. Draw your fingers back. Imagine gripping an invisible wall. So almost do a little grab like you're palming a basketball with each hand. And then make a fist and drop those knuckles down. One more time, draw up and back. Spread your fingers wide. Grip and release down. Roll your shoulders out a few times. And take a few rounds of cat and cow, finishing it out here. Inhale, let your chest come forward, shoulders drop down and back. Exhale, round your spine. Lean back. Inhale, lift. Exhale, round. One more time, lift. And round. And come tall through center. Make your way to a little more comfortable seat. Maybe you slide back in the chair. Allow your chin to drop halfway to your chest. Begin to relax your face, your jaw. And circle back to noticing your breath. Inhale and exhale, your only focus. Start to find a pacing here that's still a little deeper and more intentional than your day-to-day breath, but is not so deep it requires much effort for you to maintain. Truly striking the balance between ease and effort. Once you've found a pacing and depth that works for you, begin to count silently to yourself the length of your inhale and exhale. After a few rounds, you'll likely notice that if you exhale all your air, it seems to take a little longer than your inhalation. Make small adjustments to your pacing so that inhale and exhale match in length. At the end of your next exhale, start to allow your breath to return to its natural rhythm. Just breathe itself. Take any final movements you might like, then allow your palms to turn up, fingertips curl in. Release your tongue from the roof of your mouth. Unclench your jaw. And just be here and rest for the next moment. Shavasana. Begin to deepen your breath. Take gentle movements to fingers and toes. If you'd like, you might take your arms overhead for one final stretch. And sit up a little taller. Maybe come forward in your seat. Join palms together at heart center. We'll close practice today with the sound Om one time. You're welcome to sing along or listen. Release your air. Full breath in. Thumbs to forehead center. Gratitude for this practice. Namaste. Thank you all so much for joining in today. If there's questions you have or anything you need, please feel free to reach out to me either in the restaurants, as you all know I work there, or through the community life team. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your Sunday and see you soon.